Hello, I'm Giles Darling and I write novels, plays and non-fiction books. In this video I discuss why it can sometimes be a good idea to reduce the number of locations in your stories. This applies, in my opinion, not only if you're writing a screenplay or TV script, but also if you're writing a novel. But first, please feel free to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just a couple of clicks, it costs nothing and it's free. Also, when you've finished watching this video, please check out the rest of my channel, especially where I talk about the various books that I've written. I hope my channel encourages you to buy my books, available on Amazon, see the link below, and to read them if you haven't already done so. What's more, every so often, the ebook versions can be downloaded for free. Now let's get back to the video. The number of locations in TV shows, films and movies is often kept low to reduce costs. For example, in soap operas, when the characters go out for a meal, they always seem to go to the same single restaurant. This is because the show's producers have limited set construction budgets. In real life, of course, people prefer variety and they go to different restaurants, especially if they live in towns or cities, depending on what type of food they want to eat on each occasion. On the other hand, if you're writing a novel, there's no limitation to the number of locations you can include in your story. There are no budget constraints and no set construction costs. For example, in your story, the characters could eat out at a different restaurant every night of the week, assuming they have deep enough pockets and strong enough appetites. However, in my opinion, it can still be a good idea to limit the number of locations in your novel, particularly the number of significant locations that characters visit more than once. This applies to both the overall number of locations in the story and also to the number of locations of the same type, for example the number of restaurants. I focus on two reasons why. Firstly, too many locations in a story can confuse the reader, especially if the reader occasionally dips in and out of your book, rather than reads it over a shorter time period. For each new location, the reader typically creates a mental image. The higher the number of mental images, the more information there is to be forgotten, particularly over longer time periods. There's also the question of capacity. How many mental images of locations can the typical reader maintain at the same time? Too many, and the reader will give up. Secondly, if the story contains too many locations of the same type, the reader must focus on the differences in order to remember which location is which. This too can become tiring and deter the reader from finishing the book. There are, of course, exceptions to limiting the number of locations. If the main characters of your story are on a physical journey, then they will naturally visit a string of different locations. In this situation, the locations should be of different types and therefore easier for the reader to differentiate when creating and retrieving mental images. Another example of an exception is if your story focuses on a character who needs to visit many different locations of the same type. For example, your story's main character could be a food safety compliance officer, checking that none of the restaurants in the local area violate any food hygiene rules. In this situation, you'd need to use a diverse range of characters, actions and events to compensate for the similarity of each of the story's locations. I think the same probably applies to the characters of your novels. For example, don't include too many overall characters or too many characters that look the same or similar, or that have the same or similar behaviours and attitudes, etc. But that's a topic for a separate video. What do you think? Perhaps you disagree with me. Are there other reasons, in your opinion, for limiting the number of locations in a story? Or no reasons at all? Please feel free to add your own thoughts or ideas in the comment section below. Before you go, please don't forget to like and subscribe this video on my YouTube channel, and to buy and read my books, available on Amazon, see the link below, if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, bye bye.